I used to think I was eating all the right things. A bowl of spinach here, a side of broccoli there, and a handful of popcorn while watching my favorite show. They were habits that felt healthy, like little promises to my body that I was still taking care of it, even after turning 70. But then came the bloating, the discomfort that lingered long after dinner, and the nights I couldn't sleep from the strange pressure in my chest. At first I blamed it on aging, or maybe stress, or maybe just one of those days. But deep down I knew something in my daily routine wasn't working for me anymore. That's what led me to take a closer look, not at what I was missing, but at what I was unknowingly doing wrong. In this video, I want to share with you 5 vegetables that may be quietly harming your digestion and your long-term health. Some of these might surprise you, especially if, like me, you've always tried to eat healthy. Stay with me until the end, because it's not just about what to avoid, it's about what to choose instead. And if any part of this sounds familiar, let me know in the comments by typing yes. You're not alone. Sometimes, what we've always believed to be healthy can quietly turn into something our bodies no longer agree with. That realization didn't come to me overnight. It built up slowly after enough dinners left me bloated, tired, and wondering why I didn't feel as light or energized as I used to. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. I had trusted these foods for years, but as I got older, my body changed and the way it handled certain vegetables changed too. Cruciferous vegetables are often praised for their nutrients, and rightfully so. They're full of fiber, vitamins, and even cancer-fighting compounds. But the truth is, they can also be incredibly hard to digest, especially for people like us, who may not move around as much as we used to, or who are taking medications that slow down digestion. After 70, it's not uncommon to feel your stomach working harder, your energy dipping lower, and your comfort level decreasing after eating something that used to feel fine. These vegetables tend to ferment in the gut, producing gas and pressure that builds up, often for hours. It's not just a little bloating, it can make your clothes feel tight, your back feel sore, and even your sleep more restless. And the thing is, most of us don't connect the dots because these vegetables are part of the healthy category we were taught to trust. There's another layer too. Cruciferous vegetables contain compounds that can interfere with thyroid function, especially important to consider if you're already dealing with hypothyroidism, fatigue, or unexplained sluggishness. For many older adults, thyroid issues go undiagnosed for years, quietly stealing energy and clarity from daily life. So even when we're doing all the right things, eating salads, steaming broccoli, loading up on fiber, we might still be putting pressure on a system that isn't as strong as it once was. I remember one afternoon when I made a large cabbage stir-fry for lunch. It smelled wonderful, tasted fresh, and checked all the boxes for a balanced meal. But by early evening I was lying down with a bloated belly, feeling like I had eaten double the amount. The discomfort lasted through the night. That was when I realized this wasn't just a one-time thing, it was a pattern, and it had been quietly stealing my comfort for longer than I wanted to admit. The solution isn't to give up vegetables. It's to adjust them to fit the body we have today, not the one we had 20 years ago. Try cooking cruciferous vegetables more thoroughly, roasting them until soft, blending them into soups, or simply having smaller portions. Or try alternatives that are kinder to your digestion, like carrots, zucchini, or bell peppers. These foods are easier on the stomach and still bring color, flavor, and nourishment to your plate. Eating well after 70 isn't about following rules. It's about paying attention, making changes gently, and choosing what helps you feel your best every single day. There's a certain warmth we feel from the familiar, especially in the kitchen. The smell of garlic sizzling in a pan, or the crunch of fresh onion in a summer salad, can bring back memories from decades past. But as comforting as these ingredients might seem, they can quietly become culprits behind discomfort that many older adults simply learn to tolerate without knowing why. After 70, when our bodies become more sensitive and our digestive systems slow down, even the foods we once loved may start to fight back in subtle but consistent ways. Onions and garlic, especially in their raw form, are often hidden triggers of acid reflux, a condition that tends to become more common as we age. What many people don't realize is that these ingredients, while heart-healthy in small amounts and cooked properly, can relax the muscle at the base of the esophagus. This muscle is responsible for keeping stomach acid where it belongs, but when it's weakened, as it often is in older adults, raw garlic or onion can make it worse. That's when you get that burning sensation in your chest after a meal, the sour taste rising unexpectedly, or that stubborn cough at night that just won't go away. Sometimes we shrug it off as just getting older, or we turn to medication and chewable tablets, trying to manage symptoms without ever questioning what we're putting on our plates. I remember making a simple cucumber and onion salad one summer afternoon. It was light, refreshing, and seemed harmless. But within an hour I felt a tightness rising in my chest and a restless feeling I couldn't shake. It wasn't spicy, it wasn't greasy, but it lingered in my system, making me feel like something was off. It took a while, but eventually I realized the raw onion was the problem, not the salad itself. And once I made that connection, everything changed. I didn't stop enjoying the flavors I loved, I just started preparing them differently. Cooking. Onions and garlic doesn't take away their taste. It transforms it into something softer, sweeter, and far easier on your digestion. Roasting them, sautéing them slowly, or infusing them into oils can preserve the richness while reducing the harsh compounds that irritate sensitive stomachs. This small shift has made a big difference, not just in how I feel after meals, but in how confident I am sitting down to eat. There's nothing worse than finishing dinner and waiting anxiously for discomfort to follow. Food should nourish and soothe, not leave you anxious or uncomfortable. So if you've been dealing with acid reflux, bloating, or unexplained digestive issues, take a closer look at the raw ingredients in your meals. Sometimes it's not the whole dish, it's just one detail we overlooked. And changing it doesn't mean losing joy at the table. It simply means reclaiming comfort, one thoughtful choice at a time. As we continue this journey into the foods that may no longer serve our bodies the way they once did, there's one group of vegetables that often flies under the radar, because they're in so many of the meals we love and trust. Nightshade vegetables like tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, and potatoes are colorful, flavorful, and deeply woven into the comfort foods of American life. But for many people after 70, especially those living with joint pain, stiffness, or chronic inflammation, these vegetables may be quietly fueling discomfort they've come to accept as normal. I've spoken to neighbors who said their knees felt worse after chili night, or who woke up sore the morning after a rich pasta dinner. They thought it was just the weather, or just age catching up again. But when they looked a little closer, a pattern emerged. These flare-ups often followed meals high in nightshades. These vegetables contain a natural compound called solanine, which in some individuals can irritate the joints and worsen symptoms of arthritis or fibromyalgia. It doesn't happen to everyone, but for those who are sensitive to it, the effect can feel like carrying around invisible weights. And because these ingredients are so common, mashed potatoes, tomato sauce, stuffed peppers, it's easy to overlook the connection between what's on your plate and how your body feels the next morning. It's not just the joints. Nightshades can also affect digestion, especially for those with acid reflux. Tomatoes and peppers are naturally acidic, and when paired with a slower-moving digestive system or weakened stomach lining, they can leave behind that familiar burning sensation or heaviness in the chest. Potatoes, on the other hand, may seem harmless, but their high glycemic index means they raise blood sugar quickly, something that becomes more important to manage as we grow older and aim to avoid insulin resistance or complications from diabetes. What helped me was not giving up these foods entirely, but learning how to replace them when needed and to listen more closely to how my body responded. I started baking sweet potatoes instead of boiling white ones. I roasted carrots and squash for that warm, savory comfort without the consequences. And when I wanted tomatoes, I leaned towards smaller portions, choosing cooked versions that were less acidic and always paired with a meal, never on an empty stomach. Those changes may seem small, but they gave me back something precious: ease in my joints, calm in my digestion, and a quiet confidence that I was finally working with my body, not against it. So if your joints ache a little more than they used to, or if you find yourself avoiding long walks or bending over in the garden because of nagging pain, take a closer look at your meals. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. What if something as simple as one ingredient swap could make your mornings easier, your movements smoother, and your days more joyful? Sometimes the path to feeling better isn't a big leap. It's just one gentle step forward. Moving forward, there's something deeply unsettling about realizing that even our healthiest habits might be quietly working against us. I remember a time when I felt proud of my routine, starting the day with a spinach smoothie, adding leafy greens to nearly every lunch, and making sure I always had something green on my plate at dinner. It felt responsible, wise, even noble. But after a series of appointments, blood tests, and conversations with my doctor, I learned that the very food I thought was strengthening me was slowly creating trouble I couldn't see until it hurt. Spinach and other high oxalate greens like Swiss chard and beet greens may be rich in nutrients, but they also contain oxalates, natural compounds that bind to calcium in the digestive tract. For someone over 70, especially those already facing concerns about bone density or a history of kidney stones, these oxalates can quietly interfere with the body's ability to absorb calcium properly. Instead of being used to strengthen bones or support healthy muscle function, the calcium binds with the oxalates and may contribute to the formation of painful kidney stones. That realization was both humbling and frustrating because, like many of you, I wasn't overeating processed food or neglecting my health. I was doing what I had always believed was best. It's not something we talk about often, but bone loss becomes a real concern in older age, especially for women after menopause. We may think we're protecting our strength by eating plenty of greens, but if those greens are loaded with oxalates and not paired with enough calcium-rich foods, we may be weakening ourselves without realizing it. The signs don't show up immediately. Maybe it starts with slower recovery after a fall, or more frequent back pain, or a strange ache in the hips that comes and goes. Often, we only find out once something breaks, or when a kidney stone makes us wince with every breath, and by then the damage has begun. But just like every part of aging, awareness is power. I didn't stop eating greens, and I wouldn't ask you to either. Instead, I made adjustments. I swapped spinach for romaine lettuce or bok choy. I still enjoy leafy vegetables, but I choose those that are lower in oxalates and easier on my kidneys. I also started pairing my greens with a source of calcium, a little cottage cheese, a slice of cheddar, or even a spoonful of plain yogurt on the side. That small change allowed my body to absorb more of what it truly needed. I began feeling lighter, less foggy, and strangely more stable on my feet. So if you've been eating well but still feel like something's missing, whether it's energy, strength, or clarity, look closely at the kinds of greens you're using. The answer may not be to eat more, it may be to choose more wisely. Your bones, your kidneys, and your future self will thank you for paying attention today. And now, as we reach the last part of this journey through foods that may be quietly working against your comfort and well-being, I want to talk about something deeply familiar to many of us: corn. It's on every summer table, at every family barbecue, at every movie night in the form of popcorn. For many of us, corn isn't just food, it's a memory. A connection to simpler times, to shared meals, to traditions passed down through generations. But as much as we may love it, our bodies don't always feel the same way, especially after 70 when digestion becomes more delicate, slower, and more prone to discomfort. What many people don't realize is that corn contains a tough outer layer made of cellulose, a type of fiber that humans simply cannot break down. In our younger years, our digestive systems might have handled it without complaint. But as we age, especially if we're dealing with a slower gut, weaker intestinal muscles, or conditions like diverticulosis, corn becomes harder to process. It doesn't break down fully, and it often passes through the body in nearly the same shape it entered, leaving behind gas, bloating, and a heavy, sluggish feeling. I used to think it was just normal, just part of being full after a meal. But fullness shouldn't feel like pressure in your chest, or sharp bloating in your belly, or the need to lie down for an hour just to feel okay again. Then there's popcorn, a beloved snack, light and crunchy yet deceptively harsh on the digestive system. Its sharp edges, unpopped kernels and rough texture can irritate the gut lining, especially in those of us with sensitive intestines or small pouches in the colon. I remember eating popcorn at the movies with my granddaughter and later wondering why I felt like I had swallowed something sharp. It wasn't the quantity, it was the texture, the harshness of something my gut no longer welcomed. These little irritations add up over time, and they can lead to long-term issues if we don't listen early enough. And beyond digestion, corn also carries a high glycemic load. It breaks down into sugar quickly in the body, which can be risky for seniors managing insulin resistance or trying to stabilize their blood sugar naturally. That's something I didn't think about until a routine blood test surprised me and forced me to rethink what light and healthy meant for my age and condition. But I didn't give up corn completely. I simply made smarter choices. I started by choosing gentler, easier to digest vegetables. Steamed zucchini, roasted carrots, peeled cucumbers. When I do have corn, I eat it in small amounts, chew more slowly, and never combine it with other hard-to-digest foods. That small awareness has spared me many uncomfortable evenings and given me back a sense of calm in my stomach that I didn't realize I had lost. And that's what this journey is about. Not cutting out everything we love, but learning what feels good, what nourishes us without the hidden cost. When we listen to our bodies with curiosity instead of guilt, we find clarity. And often we find relief. As we've seen, not all vegetables are kind to our bodies as we age. Some, though packed with nutrients, can quietly stir up digestive issues, inflammation, or even long-term health concerns. The good news is, aging gracefully doesn't mean giving up healthy eating. It means eating wisely. By listening to our bodies and making small changes, like swapping raw onions for cooked ones or choosing low-oxalate greens, we can enjoy meals that support both comfort and vitality after 70. These choices aren't about restriction. They're about freedom. Freedom from discomfort, from confusion, from feeling weighed down after a meal. If you've experienced bloating, joint pain, or unexpected fatigue after eating something you thought was healthy, I encourage you to share your story in the comments below. Your voice may help someone else feel less alone and more empowered. After all, elder wisdom grows stronger when shared. And sometimes, one small change in your plate today can mean a better tomorrow for someone who hears your journey.